Hello, Tesla Lifers! It must be Wednesday. You're watching the Tesla Life Live with your host, Mark Coughlin!
It's happening!
Hello, everybody! Welcome to the Tesla Life number 282. Man, we're getting close to 300 now. That's just getting up there, isn't it? Welcome to the show, everyone. It's November 30th, last day of November 2022. And that makes tomorrow December 1st, which we'll talk about in a bit. But with that, we would like to introduce our co-host. We have Mr. Casey Green joining us from an undisclosed location. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing pretty well. I just got emails from Tesla that I've got items shipping from the Tesla shop to all over the world. Well, all over North America, anyway. And
they can't pin you down, huh? They just send it to multiple
They didn't know where to
places.
send it.
One of them catches you.
So you order one thing and they send it to every Tesla location throughout the world? That's a lot of inventory.
No. Everywhere they could find me, everything that I ordered, they sent different items.
Ah, okay.
That's funny.
All
So
right.
I've got 2 ugly sweaters coming to this location, and I've got 2 shot glasses headed to my address of record.
Cool.
Very good.
Yep. I just got notice my shot glasses are in the mail, or at least the label has been printed, but
Right.
it's one step closer.
That's quite a difference, Patrick. And that, of course, is Patrick joining us from the West Coast. How are you today, sir?
I am good. So we're coming to you solar powered right now, and with battery and a little bit of sun. And one thing that's cool is with this battery, we'll talk about batteries a lot during today's show. There's it allows you to time shift. You can use it when you want it, not when it's generated, which is pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Now, Patrick, just off topic, I happened to be watching the NBC National News just a few minutes ago, and they were saying that Oregon, certain parts of it, are getting hit with a storm.
Not just
Oh,
Oregon.
Yep. And it's going to be a great start to ski season. That's all I'm looking forward to.
Wow.
Yep. They
Did
said,
your power walls tell you there's a storm coming, or is it not that severe in your area?
It is not that severe. I did get a notice on the Echo device. It said there was a wind warning, but I'm not sure if they use 2 different sources, because sometimes that's when the power walls also go into storm watch mode, and other times it's just a warning from the Echo device and no storm wall response. So
maybe they have you in different areas, or maybe different levels of severity.
right.
Also,
it's probably the second one. Yeah.
Yeah. Also,
They
Donner
both know
Pass, for those of
everything
you
about
driving
me.
to the TeslaSemi Event in California, and northern North Carolina through the Northeast is expecting a really bad nor'easter.
Yep. Be safe out there, everybody.
Yes.
Well, let's get started. Lots of news.
Hockey Day was first in the chat, and
Okay.
they're asking, will the trucks be delivered to Pepsi be any different than any color besides white? That's a good question. And Zachary says
I
that
gotta believe that Pepsi will bring a sticker at least, just to throw on the side. But we'll see.
Yep.
We'll see.
I got internet issues here. What's up with that?
First story of the night. This, of course, it's a big change, and a lot of people have been looking forward to this day about FSD Beta. Casey, what's this about?
So did we lose Casey? His internet seems to have him frozen there. All right. Well, the show must go on.
And Casey's gone.
Yeah, he'll be back.
Okay. Well, let's start out with the story anyways. This was an announcement by Elon. And who's back?
All right. Are we all
back.
gonna-
I'm back.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So, Casey, what's this FSD story that's happening?
So FSD is now available to everybody. A safety score
Who's
be
paid
darned.
for it? And
everybody's
their
paid.
computer.
Yes.
Elon's
Elon's not running a charity here.
There's some qualifications, but yes. You have to at least own a Tesla.
Yeah. Well, you have to own the Tesla and the FSD Beta subscription or outright purchase. And when I say Elon's not running a charity, he's not running a charity in this regard. He's definitely running a charity, but it has nothing to do with what we're talking about here. And so you go in, you click the FSD Beta enrollment in your car, and then within moments, assuming you're on a compatible version in your car, it'll be downloaded to your car. If you're on an incompatible version, say you're running too new of a software, they'll get you on the next round. So,
wait, too new? I didn't know that was a thing. I've heard of having that.
It doesn't like
old.
the rollback software. They can. There's nothing stopping them. They just prefer not to do it.
Right, but so the latest version doesn't support this?
Correct.
Huh.
Because remember, the FSD Beta has always been behind production.
Interesting.
Production for the regular cars.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I just got the alternate routes option with this last update, which was amazing because some newer cars than mine don't have it. And remember, legacy.
Interesting. I didn't realize that twist. So, yeah, now that adds a whole other layer to the versioning question here.
Yeah.
And that's what they're trying to do is come together, right? The most recent version, they've combined the stacks of the different
not
versions.
This one. Allegedly, version 11 will do that.
Okay.
But so far, version 11 hasn't been seen outside of a Tesla employee car. So.
Okay.
Right. I did just get an update, and sure enough, the report this FSD did not behave properly button has gone away.
Yeah, mine too.
Which is sad.
Yeah. It's because it started messing up right after that. I'm like, oh, and there was nothing to push.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
I did have 2 drives that were perfect, minus it trying to speed in the neighborhood that I'm in, and one of them it tried to run a no right turn on red. You'd think they would have had that by now, 2 years later, but they don't.
So they've released this now to approximately 160,000 vehicles that have it before it was made available to everyone.
Right.
I'd be really curious to find out if we'll ever get a number going forward as to what that number really is, because on our Twitter feed and other places, we've gotten people that have said, hey, I've got a 90 score, I'm still waiting, or I've got an 85, I'm still waiting. Well, now that's gone away. If you have the button to request it, you can now click it and get enrolled in the program no matter what your safety score is. So
there are still people who won't get it and will be stuck with the safety score if they're running MCU 1 or hardware 2 for the autopilot computer, or hardware 2 or 2.5, or if they if they still are missing camera upgrades on some of the older S and X cars. Okay. In addition to those people who have
if you were in that situation, is it some cases that Tesla's not updating those cars yet, so they can't participate in the FSD beta?
They just need to get the hardware updated and then have the car and the mothership acknowledge that they have replaced the the incompatible cameras or updated the autopilot hardware.
So people that are still in that waiting pattern, they've got to reach out to Tesla service and get it arranged to update the hardware that's required.
Right. And if you paid for FSD Beta in full or FSD software in full, those are included in the price of your car, exception of MCU 1 to MCU 2. But if you needed hardware or you needed the computer, they will replace those. But MCU 1 to MCU 2, they're saying that, that MCU 1 can do it, but not in the beta. So you will never see it, at least until the either they bring the beta to MCU 1 or the final product comes out.
Right. So you might have to pay for those, though, if instead of buying FSD, you're just leasing, renting.
If you're subscribing to it, then you will have to pay for all those camera upgrades and the autopilot computer hardware.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, we've had people asking about that previously, and now the gate is open. So if you want it, in most cases, and you've paid for it, you can get it. So it'll be interesting to see if we ever get a number as to if that 160 becomes 320 or 300.
Right. Yeah. Will it be double, triple, 10x? What is it? We know there's at least it'll go up some.
If it's not, they will sweep it under the rug.
Well, I have a feeling they're not going to say too much more about numbers. Tesla's kind of guarded when it comes to the numbers that even subscribe.
That also expose the take rate of FSD.
Yeah.
Not all of it, but by proxy, it would expose the FSD take rate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, also, with that, there was an app update for Apple and soon for Android you can now read your release notes on the app. Now that you can also now update your car from the app without having to go out to the car. That's been that way for over a year now. But the release notes is new to one of the newer softwares, either the FSD Beta, but definitely the production release and the latest version of the iOS app. So as you're installing it, before you install it, you can read the release notes, which is finally.
That's good. That's good. So you can flag it to update, and then instead of going into the garage and see what came, you can just see it right on the app.
Which is also nice because you don't have that little sliver of map. So if you are privacy conscious and you want to also take pictures or record it, you don't have to worry about that sliver of map exposing you and doxing you.
Right. So now when people post this stuff on social media, we'll actually get screenshots from their phone instead of pictures taken in their car. So much more higher quality social content. That was the whole real reason for the feature.
Not skewed off to one side. Straight.
Yep. Exactly.
Not blurry.
Well,
Lucky day. The answer to that question is me.
What's the question? Oh, here.
We'll make the first semi into an RV.
Yeah, Casey's on track. He wants to do that.
So do you have a semi ordered?
Not yet. They closed the order by the time I thought about it, and I think they still want the 50K up front. So it'll be a little bit, but I'm planning to make something happen.
The 53-foot RV, love it.
Yeah.
Next, Casey's got another story for us, and this is about not a big surprise, but we kind of thought this was coming, right?
Yeah. So I've been championing NACS ever since it came out. I was kind of lukewarm to it when Aptera was telling everybody to use the Tesla connector, but when it became no longer the Tesla connector, I was all on board. So now Aptera has tweeted now that NACS is a thing that they're going to be using NACS, which is the North American Charging Standard, which is another name for the Tesla 2 connector. They've renamed it. They've opened it. You can get the specs for free. You don't have to register. They just download them, and then you can start building stuff on it. Or
you mean it's not just the band that did My Sharona? Oh, that was the neck. Oh, sorry.
they also, if you don't feel like making it yourself, you can buy the parts directly from Tesla. They gave a model number, and you can do that as well. But I think at the volumes that these manufacturers are running at, that you either want to get it from your supplier or do it yourself.
Yeah, when you battle the specs.
So this would be the first manufacturer outside of Tesla that's adopted this new charging standard.
That's confirmed it, yeah. And the manufacturer of the vehicle, because now the first outside of Tesla would be probably EVgo or one of the other charging networks. I think it was EVgo for sure. And
the charging networks, it absolutely makes sense. Most EVs on the road in most parts of the world are Teslas. So if you're not charging Teslas, you don't have much of a business. So you want to get those Tesla connectors or NACS connectors out there as soon as you can.
Exactly. And part of the other thing that came with this is, remember the Aptera has a motorcycle license plate on the back, and it's behind that, like the old school gas cars, you'd fill up the gas behind the license plate. That's where they put their charge port. And if they had been forced to go with CCS, they would be out of compliance because that port would have to be sideways to fit, and that's not allowed.
I didn't know it wasn't allowed. It has to be in a certain
the only
configuration.
Person extra stress on the cable in a weird direction.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, because we know that the CCS weighs a ton, so you don't want that cord bending in a different manner for sure.
Right.
Yeah. And so speaking of CCS, the Charin group, of which Tesla is a core member, along with 155 other companies, they put out an unsolicited reply to Tesla's announcement of NACS and said that it wasn't necessary, it was unwelcome, and they should get on board with everybody else.
We'll
see how this plays out. Which shot themselves in the foot. They pointed out that if they wanted to fix the connector, the latch, to make sure that that you can't unplug it while it's hot, that if anybody wanted to change that, it would be difficult and it would take time, and you have to go through a whole process. So it's like, not only does the NACS connector not have any moving parts, this whole bureaucracy rigmarole further hampers your claim about why everybody should be on board.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of, we're super bureaucratic and we love it. That's not a positive statement. Our charging standard will never evolve or get better.
Yeah. We tested it. Well, so with the other folks, like once the standards bodies have seen it, the non-Charin standard bodies, they'll have had to test it, and then Tesla tested it, and when you look at the specification for their testing, like it has to be dropped on real surfaces, not just dropped in a lab, like concrete, gravel, asphalt. Come on.
You can't just drop it on a well carpeted floor, really?
Right, and not in a laboratory. It has to be outside.
Yeah, no connector has been more field tested. I mean, it's just that's undeniable.
I mean, you've seen some abused Tesla connectors, and they still work. They're missing chunks and still working.
Exactly.
Not recommended to use it.
No, not recommended at all. If I see a funky one, I just
don't lick the charger head.
It's got protection for that, but still don't.
We normally say don't take our advice from the show, but don't lick charging handles is good advice, and I think you should all take, regardless of their state.
Yeah.
Another story that we've already touched upon a little bit is that another batch of invites have left Tesla to invite people to the event that's happening tomorrow evening. For the TeslaSemi unveil, where this is going to be happening in, it's at Gigafactory, Nevada.
Nevada, right? Yeah. Sparks.
Yeah.
So they're going to be.
Impressive that it's not at Modesto.
What's that, Casey?
It's impressive that it's not at Modesto.
Right. I thought it would be at Pepsi location.
Here's your trucks. People are driving them. You can see them tomorrow.
Yeah, well, it could have been go do a lap around the Pepsi plant, right? Or the Frito-Lay plant. But
they're going to have the charging infrastructure.
Maybe it's a liability thing, and maybe Pepsi will take theirs on the first at their factory, and these will be like the prototypes.
I gotta believe they're going to do a little drive-in with them, like maybe some live camera views of them coming up or leaving the factory or something like that.
Wasn't that one of the prizes? Was drive the semi?
Right, but that's not drive the Pepsi semi. It's
right.
It's drive a different semi. Yeah.
Hopefully.
So all these drivers have to be hired by Pepsi to drive the semi for a day. So it's
an hour.
A big legal red tape thing. But
no,
we're jesting here. Of course, the event happens tomorrow. We're going to be interested to see what kind of unveil it's going to be. Since it is for one client, but they are going to televise it. They're going to live stream it. So I got to believe that Elon's going to be there for sure. And there's going to be some sort of fanfare about it. It'll be interesting to see if they roll anything else into it or if it's strictly going to be semi and nothing else. But
it rolls out the back just for full circleness.
Yeah, the one more thing. When it looked like it was going to be a Pepsi event at a Pepsi location, I said, I don't think there'll be a one more thing. But now that we know it's a Tesla event at a Tesla location, maybe it could happen.
It could, yeah.
Or maybe a Cybertruck rolls out the back. I doubt that, though. It's more likely that it'd be the Roadster, but I'm not counting on that one either.
We'll see.
Model next.
Always exciting. Oh,
well, Ron did an interview that released today, and he said he's really excited about what's coming next.
But I can't talk about that.
But he couldn't talk about it.
Now, I wonder if he meant that as a general statement, like I'm always more excited about what's coming next. Or
I'm wondering that too.
You could have at least asked that follow-up, because that's not asking about the thing. It's about what type of
Is it a mindset? Are you interested in this next thing, whatever it is? Because Elon's super excited about the Cybertruck, and it appears that Franz is done with it based on that statement.
Well, it was after that scolding after he broke the window. He really got sour on the Cybertruck after that.
I like the comment about
and Elon's going,
how they agree to disagree,
you
but
broke
Elon's
the first window, and then you still went on and broke the second window. Have you lost your mind?
Rick admit it. Hey.
Speaking of the Cybertruck, Patrick's got a story about what goes in the Cybertruck and what has been found out about the 4680.
That is right. So this is from CarBuzz, and they watched Jordan Kieseke's The Limiting Factor channel, where they dug into the 4680. And I watched the same video. I swear, this author on CarBuzz was watching a different video than I did. One of the things on there, I mean, this article kind of frames things in a very negative view, in my opinion. So it says the Tesla Model Y battery pack with just 420 miles. What are you talking about? There's just several little things like that in here. One of the things that they are talking about is how this the title, Tesla's 4680 cells are worse than those in regular batteries. And Tesla doesn't just look at the cell. They look at the entire vehicle and how everything works together. And that's how we got things like the octovalve and the super pump. And because if you were to say, oh, this one cooling system uses this way over-engineered thing, it doesn't work well at all. Well, you're not looking at the whole thing. And so these are made to be structural pack cells. So they have different requirements than ones that aren't. So if you let's instead look at the entire pack and see how it performs, instead of just one cell and get slightly worse density.
These are standard range Model Ys, right?
Yes.
The one that they received came most likely from Monroe and Associates. The actual battery,
right?
They got. So that was, of course, a standard range from Giga Texas, the only place that it's made. And at that time, the only vehicle it was put in.
No, okay. I'm just to be clear that the vehicle had 420 miles that they had used, so the cell was relatively new. It was not range.
No, I wasn't thinking range, but I was thinking that like the whole complaint is that these are not the best technology. But when you're field testing it, getting used to putting it together, and it's not guaranteed to be a long range, why would you fill them all the way up, or why would you give them the best chemistry?
Right. Yeah. Safety first. And even if these were the same or even slightly worse, if you're doing a dry cathode, and that means that it takes a lot less energy to make them, uses a lot less factory space, you're able to mass produce them larger scale. Those are all pluses. And again, that's looking at the whole ecosystem, not just one piece of it. And that's
is this one even using the dry cathodes yet?
So we saw a whole lot of things at Battery Day, and
we did.
4680 is the vessel for those, and they're not all there yet. They're getting rolled in as they get them ready and get them working. And that's another thing is that this is early in the life of 4680. So to say that, it has this problem or that problem, that's exactly why in 2012 people said no one's ever going to buy EVs, because you're just looking at the now and not about the potential. That's the reason that that Kodak never switched to digital cameras, because they were like, people are going to use film forever, because look at how crummy these 1992 digital cameras are. So anyway,
ride horses forever. I mean, they still do, but not like they used to.
Right. So I just saw a lot of that kind of thinking in this article, but it's cool that the 4680s are out there. It's cool that they're getting put into real vehicles. And yes, people can tear them down and say, this could be better. And guess what? It's going to get better. So
that's the point I wanted to make, is that Tesla's always been an iteration company. So they've always been just put out what works now, put out what we can do, put out what we can manufacture in a time frame that we have to meet, and then let's improve based on the results of that being out in the field. So I would expect anything, especially the new 4680, which is brand new on its size, its capabilities, its manufacturing process. All of those things are things that Tesla had to reinvent and make into their standard mass amount of production. And of course, they're going to have issues. We knew they had issues just based on, we thought that the 4680 was going to start with the Model Y. We thought anything rolling out of Texas would have that battery. We thought Berlin was going to be rolling out 4680s in the beginning. When those things failed to happen, And when Tesla switched in Texas to the 2170s to push out more volume, we knew that they were having issues with the 4680s. Like it's common knowledge that if things are running into an issue, Tesla went to a plan B so that their manufacturing amount and the volumes that they were making wouldn't be adversely affected. So we knew there was going to be an issue. When we heard the Semi was going to use 2170s, we knew that there was an issue. So obviously they're having problems with the 4680 in a few ways, most likely, but they've got it to the point where they can now put out a standard range Model Y with those batteries. The final composition of those batteries are not locked down. They are going to start making changes based on the field testing of the hundreds and then thousands and then tens of thousands of units that are in the field. So they're monitoring all those cars, they're collecting the data, and they're making differences or changes in the production. They're making changes in the chemistry. They're making changes all across the board to make that 4680 the way that they believe it should perform from battery day. So I agree. Like there are some negatives in this article, but these are things that we should have been expected. Not when you come out with something brand new, it's not perfect out of the box when you're the one that dreamed it up and then decided to dream up a new way of manufacturing it and putting different chemicals into it and different compositions into it. You're going to have some issues, and Tesla is experiencing those. But the great thing about this company is that they're not just buying this thing off the shelf and running with it. They are putting it in action, and then they're modifying it to make it better, to achieve other goals that they believe it will achieve. Now, if you've purchased a standard range Model Y, you're going to be locked in the architecture that you were given in that car. And you know, you may be disappointed somewhat with that, but you're wanting to get the first Model Y with a 4680, so you got it. But there are now things that Tesla will do that battery will change over days, weeks, months, and years to make that even better. And then that information is going to go into the Cybertruck because that requires the 4680s to even make it possible to make. Because of cost allowances for that vehicle. So we'll have to see. But I believe this is just an iteration point for Tesla. This is just the beginning swing. They're going to be coming up to bat many, many times with this and making changes to it in order to make it better as time goes along.
So with this one, you also have the case that it could be more robust than the 2170 standard range. So it may have less range degradation. It may have less issues over time. And then it also follows a very, very standard Tesla formula where if they make any changes to a new product with new technology, so in this case, the Model Y already existed, and now it's a new technology, just like Autopilot already existed. Autopilot 2, 2.5, 3, all actually had a regression when they came out, and then they got better.
Right.
This is the same thing. They got slightly not as good.
There could be software updates coming 2 months from now that improve the range. We don't know. Yeah. We'll see.
One thing I think that we might see, since they're not putting all of the battery day tech into these 4680 cans, we may see the same number of cans filled up with more of the tech. That might be the long range with the same number of cells, rather than filling up the container all the way, which would be really cool.
Yeah.
Then the SR lose cans again, which is
there's a whole bunch of things that are in play here. Many balls that are in the air, and they're modifying all of these things, as Patrick has said, in order to get to the end goal, which is encompassing everything, not only just the manufacturing, but the placement, how it reacts in the car, what kind of mileage it gets, how the car reacts to having these batteries compared to the 2170s. All this is they're weighing and making judgment calls, trying to make it better customer experience. So
cooling, charge time.
Right. The other clue to that was when they built it in the 2170 factory and not the 4680 factory.
Yeah. I was surprised when we learned that a few weeks ago on the show.
That was a shock.
Yeah.
Well, next story, talking about production. This is a bit of a ramp-up story. Just this note that in the month of September alone, Tesla deployed over 14 gigawatt hours for their electric vehicles combined. So this is just another indication of the amount of batteries that Tesla is going through. Remember back a year and a half ago when Elon said 2022 was all about production ramp up, and part of that, of course, was the batteries. So this again is another indication. We've been seeing it all along. Of course, we've been seeing it in a number of vehicles that Tesla is actually deploying per month, per quarter, and coming up on a year total. And this is just again another indicator of the volume that Tesla is hitting with its gigafactories, now numbering 4 out there in the wild. So good to see amount that what's really going to be fun is over time, if you could chart this and see the amount of gigawatts that it's coming out per month per year, and watch that over the next 5 years, because of course the ramp up is just beginning. We've got 2 factories, Berlin and Texas, that are in their infancy stage. They're not even ramped up. Texas has got untold thousands of square feet of floor space that's not even being utilized at this point. Berlin, they're talking about putting a 3rd shift on now. So they've got 2 shifts that are up and running. The 3rd shift has now been rumored that will start in late December. So they are moving towards running at a 24-hour pace there in Germany, as they've done in Fremont for a long time. And of course, Texas isn't even at that talking about a third shift at all. So it's again a growing company, and we've got 2 gigafactories that are bigger than the originals and haven't even ramped up fully yet. So next year we're going to see some real production rolling out, and of course we're going to get some Q4 numbers too coming up in about a month and a bit. So I expect to see a really large Q4 for Tesla to close out the year. Next, Patrick's got a story for us, I believe.
Which one would you like?
Oh, hold on. I just lost my spot.
70%. I've got it. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is from Inside EVs, and it's titled, "More than 70% of plugins on road in U.S. were assembled in North America." So we've often talked about how Teslas are the most American-made vehicle, at least the ones that are on U.S. roads, North American roads, out there, because where are the factories? Fremont and Austin. And then where are the batteries made? In Sparks, Nevada. So certainly a lot of this is being driven by Tesla, which is why it's included in this show. But it is interesting just to see that for plug-in cars, they have a lot more domestic manufacturing than their ICE predecessors. So that gives you energy independence. And so they've got a chart in here that shows that where vehicles on the road were assembled. And so in the U.S. here, in North America, 65% were made in the U.S., 12% in Japan, 6% in Germany, 6% in Mexico, 4% in South Korea, and then 2% in Canada, and then a bunch of also RANs with 1%. So if you add that 65 U.S., 6% Mexico, 2% Canada together, you're getting a significant chunk, and that means jobs, that means energy independence. Here's one just short paragraph I want to read. The report notes that a greater share of plug-in vehicles were assembled domestically than conventional internal combustion powered vehicles, which means that plug-ins are already positively impacting the local economy. So that was a story that I thought was pretty cool, especially with IRA coming and the rules about domestic manufacturing percentages. This is going to matter more and more over the coming years. There you go.
Yeah, and it's interesting that this is before IRA. Like this is way before. So this is good to see that the actual plugins on the road in North America are being produced in North America. So with IRA rules, we should be able to see a sustained amount of this happening, continuing going forward. Because, of course, we've been seeing in the news and we've been reporting that more and more manufacturing plants for supplies and actually the assembly of EVs has been regulated to North American spots. So another note off of Tesla's, I just noticed that Ford announced that they just finished producing their 150,000th Mach-E, and those are being made in Mexico.
Yes.
So that's another milestone for EVs as more and more are starting to be produced in larger volumes.
Very cool.
Yep, always good to see. If it's got a plug, we're happy.
Exactly.
Next story is about the big plug. This, of course, is the story about Elon had released recently that a TeslaSemi had just finished a journey, test journey of 500 miles, an 81,000-pound vehicle, 500 miles on a single charge. So this, of course, is Elon's making news for the unveil tomorrow. But this was kind of interesting. Now, there wasn't a breakout as into what the 81,000 broke into between trailer and tractor. Mm-hmm. So as you may know, Class 8 semis are allowed to haul 82,000 pounds total. That's tractor and trailer together in total weight. And of course, there are weight restrictions because if a vehicle gets too heavy, they wear the road down. So they want to have a vehicle that the road is sustainable. It's not going to be damaged after driving. And that's why there's weigh scales on the road, if you don't know. Trucks have to go in and get weighed so they're not over that 82,000 pound limit. Now, apparently electric trucks have been able to bump that 82,000 to 83,000. So
80,000 in the US and then 82 for electrics.
Okay, so there's where that amount is. So they've been
2,000 pounds in Europe as well.
The electric tractor over a regular tractor. But in Elon's post of this test, there was no breakdown as to how much the trailer was compared to the tractor. Together, they're 82,000 pounds. So
81 in this case.
1,000,
and 81 in this particular case. So the question will be is tomorrow, will there be any information about what the actual weight of the rig is, the actual tractor compared to a trailer? Now, where it's being used, I can say there's no way they're going to be able to fill up that tractor so that it's with chips from Frito-Lay that it'll weigh 82,000 pounds. That trailer is going to be a lot lighter than the typical tractor trailer, a van or a flat or reefer that would be hauling traditional goods, a mix of goods. But of course, chips they're bulky and they weigh less than most things. So when you stack them in a trailer, it's going to be pretty light. But there has been some speculation that the TeslaSemi is going to be able to take a little bit less cargo because it weighs a little bit more than the traditional Class 8 tractor trailer. But we don't know what the value is, and Elon didn't shed any light on it when he told us about this test run that happened last week.
Yeah, Hockey Day wants to know if it was rolling downhill for those 500 miles. They didn't say what 500 miles it drove. Did they start it at the top of Pikes Peak?
Exactly. It was all done in the Himalayas, and it's
so Elon and everybody else on the
team started at 50,000 feet, and it was done when it was at 200 feet.
Elon and everybody else on the team has discussed what it can and cannot do. They have all specified that it should be more capable than a combustion truck, and that you should be able to carry more cargo, not just the 2,000 pound bonus, but suggesting that because you got the 2,000 pound bonus means that it's either equal to or slightly lighter than a traditional tractor, meaning that you get the 2,000 and maybe more. They haven't specified beyond that. But
I would say that if that is true, they will parade that around at the unveiling tomorrow. There's no reason that
even if they don't.
We already know there's still a lot of benefits, even if it does weigh more. We've got the grade ability that the truck can go up a grade at a faster speed than any diesel can. We've got the no pollution in the city. We've got the cheaper fuel by far. You know, there's a ton of pluses. Besides, this is not the end of the world if it's a few thousand pounds short on load compared to what a traditional truck would do. In fact, I would say that's still a vast win based on what that truck can actually do holistically compared to just looking at certain categories. And of course,
not anybody with a camera from seeing the door jam if they really don't want those numbers to get out.
Right. And not all transportation companies use the full amount a trailer could haul. Just like we're saying with Frito-Lay, they're never going to use that. So it doesn't matter what kind of tractor they have if it weighs a couple thousand pounds more. So there's many pluses in this, but if they are equal to or less than, they'll be spouting that from the rooftops tomorrow. But it'll be interesting to see what happens and what type of information is shared on the December 1st event.
Right, because even if they are heavier today, that doesn't mean a couple more iterations of battery and other improvements. Just like we were talking about, Tesla iterates, and we will see improvements. And tomorrow is going to be a big milestone towards our future free from fossil fuels.
Absolutely, it will. Yeah, because if you think the cars pollute. Look at those diesel trucks sitting on the highways and byways of our country, just belching out of the stacks that pollution. Like it's incredible the amount that it blows out as these vehicles. And of course, everything that we buy in our society basically at some point comes off the back of a truck.
Yep. Right.
You know, there's certainly train traffic, but guess how it gets from those hubs to the actual stores? It's moved from a train to a truck and traveled in the inner city with it. So it's something that we've really got to get a handle on in order to help the overall air quality and our health as a country.
I just saw a study. They said
container ships and cruise ships. I would say the tankers, but the tankers you can just find them extra for what they actually deliver.
Yeah, the air quality is a huge issue here. These trucks drive around in cities and docks and warehouses, and every store has one delivering something there. And you know, we all need our stuff, and so it's going to be happening. So let's do it electrically. I just saw something where they said they could estimate a person's age really well just by looking at the lymph nodes and how much particulate matter is in there from the macrophages, and that degrades your immune system. I mean, getting a far afield here, but pollution has direct impacts on your health and quality of life.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Or like for me, like the only lead you'll find in my system is from the leaded gas in the airplanes, whereas you folks will be from when it was burned in the automobile, unfortunately.
It's true. Casey's bragging about being the young man again.
I'll put on the line. That's all I'm saying. I'm not calling you old.
Well, here's another interesting story that surprised me this week. It's going
to happen, Aki Day. It's going to happen.
It's about Project Highland. I never heard of Project Highland before today, or actually yesterday. And what this is an announcement. It's not from Tesla. This is someone that's looking at people that are in the know inside of Tesla, and there is talk about the iteration of the Model 3. So what they're talking about here is that the Model 3 is being looked at to upgrade its design. Maybe not just the exterior or interior or what the consumer sees or feels, but of course, the single stampings for the front and the back of the car, the elimination of a number of parts that are no longer required, the integration of things like the super bottle and others to make the car even more efficient. Again, this is the iteration of Tesla, as everything we've talked about today, from batteries to semis to all their cars. It's something they're collecting data on, and they're looking at ways to make it better, cheaper, faster, and more desirable for the consumer. So this is another indication, and no one's really surprised that they're looking at this. As soon as the Model Y came out with these stampings that made it quicker and cheaper to build and produce, someone was obviously going, well, when can we add this to our Model 3 line? Because, of course, we're making these were all these extra parts. We'd much rather get rid of them and have the benefit of the stamp press as well. And this, of course, is another indicator that Tesla is not standing still. They're not just resting on their laurels as to the Model 3 was made almost 5 years ago, and we haven't touched it since. No, they've been putting new parts and new ideas into that car since it's been produced. And a number of times, we as consumers don't even get to see the changes. It just starts to roll in. They're not waiting for the end of the year models. What they're waiting for is when their current parts run out in that car, then they switch over to the new parts or the new procedure, and they start to roll that car out with those changes. So this seems to be a more of a concentrated effort where maybe more of these changes are going into a single body, and they're going to be rolling out this Highland edition that is going to allow the car to step forward in a number of ways. We don't know exactly what they are, but I got to believe that the front and back stampings are a part of it. The structural pack, I got to believe, is part of the thought here. Maybe even the integration of a 4680 as time goes along as well. So all those things are possibilities as this car is being looked at, iterated, and changed.
Do you think it'll have a yoke?
Yeah.
You know what, Patrick? I keep looking at that drawing that I got from Tesla for ordering the Model 3, and the drawing that Franz had done, and they put out and sent, and they all have a picture of a yoke in the Model 3.
Yep. That was the original
It was
vision.
drawn. That was the original thought the Model 3 was going to have. So I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if the stocks are dropped.
Right. Yes, those go hand in hand.
That's definitely coming.
So these type of things, and I've even been considering it. Is I should get a yoke for my car, replace my current wheel. I would like a yoke. That would be pretty cool.
Use my code for a discount.
And I've seen different yokes in place, and they look good.
They do.
It's just a question of memory management as to when you're driving it, not grabbing for the top of that wheel. So, and I gotta believe, just like glancing over for the speedometer in the center now, it just becomes a thing that you have to learn over a few days, a few weeks, and then it becomes second nature.
Right. Go to a parking lot for 10, 15 minutes first, just to get used to it before you head out on the road.
So I heard a lot of people complaining about the concept of a yoke while towing. Guess who just did 660 miles in a couple days while towing with a yoke?
And did you find it any part of an issue?
Not at all. In fact, it was a little easier with the backing because I couldn't accidentally touch the top because there was no top. Not that I reached for it, but like that just wasn't there. And so when I did the whole bottom of the wheel trick.
That's right. When we last left Casey, he was about to embark on a trip with a trailer that he couldn't take off the car on the busiest supercharging day of the year. What happened, Casey?
So we went late, like 10 o'clock to 4 a.m. on each of the trips, and there were still people on the road, but thankfully, there were never enough that we couldn't. We didn't have to wait like that guy in Florida, in South Carolina. The guy from Florida in South Carolina. Oh, you're lucky we're done eating. You're gonna make you wait another 15 minutes. No, I was able to. There was a pull-in spot in Burlington and Chester. And everywhere else, I was able to take up the appropriate amount of spots. At Glen Allen, they have added to Glen Allen because if anyone's familiar with that, they had all these back installs, but now they've got a bunch of normal ones. And so I just pulled up, blocking all of the normal spots, and then 2 of the supercharger stalls, but they were both on the same cabinet, so nobody would want to be next to a trailer supercharging on a Gen 2 anyway, because they would suffer coming after me. Yeah.
So you didn't have too much of an issue then. You didn't run in, and nobody tried to kill you. It was all good.
No. And then I ran into a friend at I believe it was Chester, Virginia. Again, it was all full, but I just pulled up to the last couple spots, nosed in next to the Wawa's air facility, and those people didn't like me, but they had fossils, so who cares? They still had room too, so okay. I had to wait for one of them to finish slowly airing up his car to get out. I could have done it, but I didn't want to spook him and then hit him with the tires and fenders of the trailer.
Good call.
Good idea.
Yeah, be nice.
Have some sort of vehicular attack at the end of the night. But on that one, so I noticed a car that had a very particular wrap. I'm like, okay, that looks like my friend's wrap. And then I looked a little closer. I saw the dashboard. I'm like, there's only one person who would spend the money to ship the car to California for Unplugged Performance to do it. But there's still a slight possibility that somebody else could have also been that much of an enthusiast to do it. So I dialed up his phone number and I heard the doot, 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 and then I hung up. And, and he looked up and he saw me with the trailer. I was like, whoa, small world.
He knew it was you. Absolutely.
That's cool.
It's like, why is the Black Model X blocking me and my phone ringing? Oh.
I am so glad that, waiting a little bit later probably was a good call. So glad you made it without a problem. But on to our next story. And this one Patrick's got about Megapacks.
That is right. I love big batteries. So this one is from Teslarati. New wind farm and Tesla Megapack project may reduce Australian coal use. So we just heard about how Tesla had deployed 14 gigawatt hours. Well, some of that is from right here in Australia. These Megapacks helped add to that number. And so Australia has long used coal as a power source. So sad. Mainly because it's abundant. However, the country's attempt to move away from coal due to air quality and climate concerns has forced a combination of technologies. So this is a massive wind farm that is going to be backed by Megapacks. And let's see, let's go through some of the numbers here. So they're going to produce 1,000 megawatts at peak, or that most people would call that 1 gigawatt. Yes. So, I appreciate the earlier article that they didn't say thousands of megawatts. There's a whole other number for that, or a prefix for that. Yeah. So it will produce enough energy to power 1.4 million homes. And the Tesla Megapack project is at Cogan Creek Power Station, will hold 200 megawatt hours of energy. So to put that into some perspective, we've talked about, what was the other station that we talked about? The one that's in California.
The PG&E one?
Moss Landing.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So Moss Landing is 1.6 gigawatt hours. So this is 200 megawatt hours. So what's that? 1/8 the size. But still, even a small bit of storage relative to what you're producing can make a huge difference. For example, the power walls that I have, that allows me to time shift. That doesn't mean that I could run for days without having some generation from the solar panels, but it's enough that it can fill in the gaps. It can absorb the excess. If there's a gap in time, it can fill that in. And it's like a cache for your computer. If you know anything about computer architecture, the cache relative to the size of the memory, it's an order of magnitude smaller. But without it, your performance would be horrible. So this gives you an energy cache and allows a lot of cool stuff to happen. And it's great to see they're reducing their coal use, because you all know how I don't like fossil fuels. And this is helping us move to a better, cleaner future, which is awesome.
Here's a shot of the Harmony Energy installation in the UK. 196 megawatt hours being installed there. And this is going to help with the UK's offshore wind farm that is currently being built out in the water. So again, another plus for Europe as it's trying to electrify everything that it can.
Yes, and with the spike in fossil methane prices they're seeing, anything they can do to move off of that is a good thing.
Exactly.
Not just methane, all sorts of oil they're having trouble with thanks to geopolitical events.
Right, all the fossils, yeah.
Yep. No real wars being fought over electricity. So good to see as countries move to that. And of course, in Europe, they're even interconnecting with the wires for these electricity grids, so they can share between different countries and balance out where power is needed and where it's not. So another plus of electricity.
Very cool.
Next, we've got a little story about the Tesla app. Casey actually touched upon this earlier, yes. But the piece I'm going to talk a little bit about is the new live view of the cameras in your car in the Tesla app. So you're now able to go to a new live view area off the main menu once you have the latest version of the Tesla app installed. And I'm using an iPhone, by the way. And you can then go into that live camera view area, and on your phone, you can view at that moment in time a live view of the 4 cameras, front, back, left, and right side. And there is even speculation, it's not there yet, but there's speculation they might put the in-cabin camera as part of the mix. But right now, it's just the outside of the car. And I was real curious to try it out. And I quickly installed the app and got the new live section on my menu. I clicked on it, and I clicked on the back camera, and it was dark. And I was going, that's weird. I'm getting nothing on. Let me go to the front. No, nothing there. I wonder if this is working. And then it dawned on me, my car's in the garage, and it's dark
the lights out.
So yes, it works perfectly fine, but it works a little bit less fine if there's no light in the garage that your car is currently in with the garage door shut. But other than that, it works perfectly.
You're one of the chosen children. The iPhone.
It'd be interesting if it had infrared and you could see in your garage in the dark.
Exactly. Yeah.
Those have some pretty low light capabilities, but you need something to amplify.
You need some light. Yes.
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 Pitch black.
and for those of you who are about to say, "Oh, live view isn't new," live view used to be buried in a menu, didn't it, Mark?
Yep. It wasn't out front. So
does the new view still include the ability to do the talkback? Or wait, no, you've got an older one like ours.
No talkback. Not in the live view, anyways.
No external speaker.
I don't have an external speaker. I don't have any speaker. When I got my car, there was no requirement to have a speaker, so mine didn't have one. But again, that's kind of cool. So and it'll be interesting to see.
I was sitting there in the trailer.
Does Casey sound like a robot too?
Yeah, Casey is gurgling up on his audio.
Yeah.
It's computer voice only, Casey. So yeah, you're still doing it.
Is this clear?
There you go. You're back.
You're back.
So that was one thing that got me with when I was charging the other day. I had the window down and I heard what sounded like a Model 3, and then I saw a Plaid pull up. And then I remembered that the Plaids are required to have the speaker, and they just have the same sounds as a Model 3.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're all required to have the speaker now. So anything that's made will have a speaker, right?
I'm curious if the Semi has one and if they use the same sounds.
Yeah, that'd be interesting if they're regulated to have it, because no one would have ever thought a transport truck would be electrified. So exactly. Maybe that's not in the rule of law yet. But that's another thing that we'll have to see if they mention that on the event tomorrow. Next, CalTrans, which of course is the transportation. Are they the transportation monitor in California? Is that what they're? I know that they're always on the roads in California. You see the CalTrans cars all over the place. They're usually a white color with orange stripes on it. Anyways, their fleet of cars has been updated. They want to have a fully electric fleet, and in order to get to part of that end goal, they have now purchased 399 Model 3s for their fleet, and they've already received over 200 of them. The next 200 are going to be coming shortly. But this is kind of interesting. This article outlines what they did why they chose the Model 3 over some other cars that they have tested and are part of their fleet. They have the Chevy Bolt, for example. They have a few different cars that they're using. But what they wanted to do is they checked on resale value of the car, range of the car, ability to charge, and a few other matrices that they rolled in their ideal EV. And they chose the Model 3 for the bulk of their purchase. And I'm not surprised. We know why Tesla controls about 70+% of the North American market. And the reasons that they outlined in this article are mirroring what happens when people make their decisions as well. So this is a big plus for Tesla. It's just showing that their dominance in the market continues when you're examining what those cars can actually do or not do. And CalTrans has put Tesla on the head of their list based on those metrics.
Yeah, that's the same reason a lot of police departments are choosing Tesla's vehicles. If you just look at functionality for, they're fit for their purpose, they are a good fit.
Yeah, and having a cruiser or chaser that's a plug-in Prius just does not work.
And the sad thing with the plug-in Priuses is that a lot of them were never getting plugged in. And
yeah,
so they were just getting them for the PR or tax breaks, and then not taking advantage of the fact that you could actually have electrified miles. So that's not an option with the Tesla. You don't plug it in; it's not going to last too long.
You're gonna run into an issue if you don't plug it in.
I'll tell you, when people do plug in the Prius Prime and the leased volts, when that fuel price hits that $10 a gallon mark, they plug it in.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, with that, Casey's got another person on board. It's just showing up to take over the show. How is baby today?
She's been pretty good.
She's looking happy. She's looking
she's very happy.
Maybe a little bit concerned, but happy still. Oh, there's the wave. There's the wave. Casey, any shout outs for the end of the show?
Yeah. So on Sundays we do a similar show at youtube.com @CaseyGreen, and then we exchange articles with the Tesla Life on Twitter. So keep an eye out for that. I tag them. They tag all of us. It's fun. You can find it at twitter.com @the Tesla Life, right? Tesla Life show
at the Tesla Life.
There we go. Yeah.
Very good. Patrick, I heard you might be working on another article. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is true. I
sorry to put any pressure on it now. You have to release it.
That's right. At carswithcords.net. I just put one out titled EVs on the Brink of Mass Adoption. So if you have followed technology, there is on the adoption curve, there's something called the chasm. And you can come out with something and there's a small niche of people that just get it. And getting from there to the mainstream is difficult. A lot of things never make that leap. Some of them die in an attempt to do it. And it looks like EVs are crossing that chasm, and that could make the next few years change the way that society operates, the same way that cell phones changed it from landlines, or the internet changed it from the before that. So this could be a big deal, and we're seeing the first steps that it might actually happen, which is awesome. So check that out at carswithcords.net. And I'm also with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association, oeva.org. And we're doing a major revamp of our website right now. We're moving over to Google for Nonprofits, and they have a hosting site. And so expect to see some big changes there at oeva.org. Thanks.
Very good. Well, we thank everyone for watching today. If you haven't already, please give us a thumbs up. Press that subscribe button. You'll get notified every time a new episode hits the YouTube airways, and helps us out. So it doesn't cost you anything and helps us out. Why not join us?
All right.
And with that, the baby's going for the camera. Yes. We thank everyone for watching, and join us next week, next Wednesday, and together we'll find out what is happening in the Tesla life.
Thank you, Lee Moon.
Stay positive. Stay negative.
She blown out sound.